Hey everyone, it's Kai, and today we're going to look at Wirab's premium Aqua Force deck that he's been playing with. And now I can see that this deck is, a lot of it is just standard now, it's standard plus pretty much, so very easy to build for the average player. But you can see there's some splashes of Wirabness to this deck. It is the Saberflow Sailor that he's been playing since forever. You know, every single Aqua Force deck he pretty much plays, he runs that. And some other cards that, you know, when you think of Aqua Force, you generally think many attacks. But with this deck, you actually get many hands, which is kind of strange because, you know, when you commit and do many attacks, you don't usually have a lot of hands. But it's just the way that you actually play this deck and how this deck is supposed to work. It just very suits Wirab's playstyle, which just, you know, generates heaps of hand with Aqua Force. So we're going to go through this deck bit by bit, grade by grade, talk about why he played certain amount of cards or why he played some of these cards, and then you can just talk about overall how this deck is supposed to function. So let's get started. Let's go to the grade 3s. Immediately you see something weird, alright? You see Revan, which is pretty standard because that's what standard Aqua Force is playing, but then you see Hydro Hurricane Dragon. You run 2 Hydro Hurricane Dragons. Now, sure, this is probably a card that you can change if you don't like it, but Wirab actually likes this card because, you know, when you play against decks that try to rush you back or, you know, commit their hand to the field early, Hydro Hurricane allows you to get an Excel 2, which is good, but also the counterblast one lets you retire one of your opponent's back rows, and then you can kind of just attack into their rear guards and kill the rear guards while keeping your opponent at low to no available counterblast to use. And then the next turn is just going to be very bad. You know, no counterblast means no advantage, usually means no skills that he can pop off with. So then you basically just kind of gain that free turn. He's usually forced to attack your Vanguard as well. A lot of your cards in this deck either go to soul, go to hand, or just disappear off the board pretty much, so you can't really attack into it. So he's forced to give you damage, and then you can make your big plays. So overall, that's what the Hydro Hurricane is just there for. Revan, again, it's just really, it's a decent card when you ride up to 3. If your opponent is already pushed, if you decide to play aggressively from 2, then Revan is the perfect kind of card to just hopefully finish off your opponent and can just play standard Aqua Force pretty much. So those are the only grade 3 he is running. Grade 2s, we've got basically, they either all do multiple attacks or they all kind of draw or feed into the advantage. And we've got Coral Assault, really just an amazing card overall. Hits big, hits that 24 number, then goes to soul and draws a card. Tidal Assault, you're able to get 2 attacks off of him. With Soul Blast as well, you can just stands. We're not running the old one, but this new one is fine too. Algos run 4 Algos, another restander, but another thing is that it is searchable from your grade 1. So you run 4 because, you know, hand advantage is good. And Saberflow Sailor, now Saberflow Sailor is just, it's GB locked, but what it does is just, it's 8k, attacks the Vanguard at like wave 4 or higher, well, it doesn't actually have wave, but, you know, 4th attack or higher, retire it, draw 2, and then that's pretty much it, right? The cards either disappear from the board and just they do their attacks, they disappear and they go back to your hand pretty much, or they replace themselves. And Saberflow Sailor is just nice because it gets 2 instead. Also, it's interesting thing is it's 8k, so you can attack under things and just draw cards. So that kind of comes into play. You know, when you ride grade 2 on a Saberflow, 8 to 9 you can deny damage there. Later on, it still hits like 13 with like on an Excel 2 marker, but her requirement is that you have to attack a Vanguard, so you can swing under again when you're on stride just to draw more cards if you really want to do that. And yeah, overall it's pretty good. Notice that a lot of these other cards, like this Coral Assault, you don't need to attack a Vanguard to be able to draw. You just need to have just have to have 4 more attacks. So very easy to get off that draw as well if you're looking to deny damage. The theme of the deck is pretty much either deny damage or rush, so you can basically do both. Right, do both. Going to the grade 1s, again, basically all these cards just disappeared from the board to draw or give you cards, right? I think the only exception is someone like Baragios, which kind of just helps you get a grade 3. And this Tempest Fiend. But yeah, let's look at Nicolos. Just get your Algos, which is great. Your Wheel Assault lets you swap and make more attacks. Another great card. And also, when you ride on it, you get to draw and call, which is nice too. Narissa, again, another advantage engine. Just draws at the end of turn. Baragios helps you search at grade 3s. And then Dean is kind of strange. I think this is like a bit of a flexor. But just at the end of battle attacked or boosted, you can just return it back to your hand. So basically what you can do with her, you would either just put onto early aggression, or just clear off a board and then bounce back to your hand. Easy stuff. Tempest Sphere, you don't really have many targets with Tempest Sphere. It's only, you can only get heals, alright? So yeah, there's not much. I think it's like 4 heals and like a draw trigger that you can get for a Tempest Sphere. It's just basically there to unflip something. So it's technically like a -1, but I guess if you get lucky, you can get like 2 heals, and that equals 2 G-Guardians, which is pretty nice. So overall, yeah, basically everything in this deck is just trying to get advantage. And then the trigger lineup he has is just your starter. You got 4 nulls, 4 draw nulls, 1 vanilla null, 1 vanilla draw, then 4 vanilla heals, and the rest are just premium collection crits. Now he only runs 3 of the new stride crit and 4 of the old soul crit. Now soul is actually kind of important in this deck, although a lot of cards do go to soul. You do use like still a decent amount of soul from like if you use your grade 2 Algos. Tidal Assault uses soul, but also this card you can place it down, you know, attack a Reguard with it, and just suck it in and draw a card. Easy times, right? Then let's move to lastly the G zone, right? We've got the 2 jump. Basically everything is just like 2 ofs and 1 ofs, right? Nothing really crazy. We've got 2 Jump Bolt Draggers, the new card, actually amazing. Creates a field, lets you draw a billion cards, retires your opponent's cards, basically does everything you want. Like, your game plan is either like 1 or 2 turns of Jump Bolt and then a finisher. But usually by your second stride, you can do your finisher, which is either like Ballerina. I don't think you ever go into Values that much, but it's just there because it's nice, because it can lock power lines. Alexandros as well is a decent finisher. Megiddo, finisher. Lambros is the finisher that you use when your opponent also damage denies you. Otherwise, if you push them really hard and your opponent responds by attacking your Rees, so you can't get CB to do a restand, you can just stride Lambros first stride. Don't forget you can do that. The only thing that Alexa doesn't get to give the 10k when it restands, but you can still make multiple attacks with Lambros if you push your opponent hard. We got a Wailing Fathers. Wailing retires. CB-less retire. You can get Guard Restrict, grade 1 Guard Restrict, which nowadays is not very great unless you're against Ezrases. But it's just CB-less retire compared to Jump Ball Dragon, which needs a counterblast one. Lastly, your G-Guards are just super fat G-Guards. Johannes is just great, makes your whole field nearly your whole field untargetable. Also accelerates your GB count. Also becomes a fat G-Guard at any time as long as you have GB1. Galphilia, you have to look at Galphilia as like a countercharger. It's basically Soul Blast 1, flip it down, countercharge. Like old school style, your old cards will just, when you played like old Aqua Force, right, your idea was just to unflip her with like Alexandra or something like that and then flip it down so you get a counter charge. Cool times. And this Ice Barrier Dragon becomes fat in like the 1st or the 4th or more wave. So yeah, just basically free fatness, but just not on the 2nd and 3rd attack of your opponent. So overall, yeah, let's just look through the deck. You can either rush early if you're against a deck that you have to rush against. If you want to play it slow, you still can, because you've got all these cards that go to soul and draw, and just basically go from the field back to your hand. You can unlock GB1 early, but not really much required. But it will let you use your crit triggers and your saber flow early as well, or if you just want to unflip something really quickly to be able to get a quick Megiddo turn the next turn. But then yeah, so your first stride is usually Jump Bolt to draw and retire and put on pressure, make multi-attacks, and then you either go into like an Alexandros for a general multi-attack, but then you can also go into Ballerina, because this deck actually just generates back a lot of cards back to hand, so you can just snipe off his cards and kill him, or you just go for a Megiddo if you think you can just kill him there. But overall, yeah, you could just, overall, I think it's still kind of safer to play it slow. Jump Bolt Alexandros, or Jump Bolt Alexandros, or Jump Bolt Ballerina is basically the big plays. So that's it for this deck. Very easy to build. The only old cards that you really need is, and you possibly don't need them, it's just the Saber Flow from like the old set. And then everything, and just your G-Zone, Premium Collection 1. That's about it. The rest is just standard. So if you've got your standard Aqua Force, convert it, bam, you're done. You're probably good to go. Have fun, draw a lot of cards. GG's. Yeah, so overall, very, very interesting deck from Wirab. And hopefully you guys enjoyed that. Let me know in the comments what you think of it, if you like drawing cards or if you hate drawing cards. And yeah, that's it from me. I'll see you guys next video. Bye.